property. This is how men view women. There is no commandment that tells men to not touch a woman without consent. There are numerous occasions where if a woman is attacked without consent and she doesn't scream loud enough, they are to kill her. I mean, what archaic biblical texts that record the most ignorant outcomes? How are we supposed to take these things seriously? How are we supposed to call this a book of moral teaching? Women were killed due to if a man had touched them or not. And the only reason a lot of women survived during war is because they hadn't been married yet. If a man had touched you, God told them to kill you. This is the disgusting sexual violence that the Bible records. Not once does it ever condemn men assaulting women. Very few occasions in the Bible does it ever record a woman consenting to an engagement. A father sold his daughter to a man who was 2-3 times their age. There was such a great power imbalance. If she did anything he didn't like, he could get rid of her. And in some instances, he could kill her. Slavery in the Bible, one of the few rules that's even mentioned is that you can beat up your slave. As long as the slave can get up within a certain amount of days, it was legal. I mean, what kind of moral depravity does a book have to record? Instead of condemning violence against people who are the lowest part of the power imbalance, it tells you not to hit somebody, but how hard and how long the punishment can take place and the extent of the damage. I mean, what kind of sick, sadistic stories are in the Bible? How women who were purchased to be second or third wives, concubines, people like Hagar, who was owned by Abraham, how she was treated. And it's not just in the Old Testament. The New Testament shows how little religions view women. That women are never to be equal to men. They're never to be in charge. They're to be quiet and do what they're told. This is why I'm an atheist. I don't want anything to do with a belief system that views women as though God made a mistake and the only reason we're still around is because men need a legacy and, well, we can do that. You watch videos on YouTube about how pastors view women. It's appalling. I mean, we had a chance to elect the first female president, and we chose a rapist instead. A felon, a horrible human being that has never done anything good for anybody. But instead of choosing a woman who's proven to be a great vice president, the first female one, we chose Trump. That's how little the majority of voters in the U.S. view women. They would rather have a rapist than a woman as president. I mean, I would rather have someone who isn't really, who isn't as qualified as we want more than Trump. As long as the person can sit there and somewhat do their job, that person is leaps and bounds better for us than Trump ever was. The way the Bible views women, and people say, well, Jesus viewed women with respect. He treated them better than what they were being treated. That doesn't make it good enough. It's appalling. And slavery should never have existed. Unless you've been convicted of a crime, everyone deserves autonomy and to live the life they want without a man seizing them or purchasing them like you're a pair of shoes. Marital submission in Ephesians and 1 Peter shows the level of contempt men have for women. Churches wanting women to be silent in church, 1 Timothy and 1 Corinthians. Adultery and rape laws, Deuteronomy and John. They record instances where if a man forces himself on a woman and she doesn't cry out loud enough, she's forced to marry or they stone her. And just because a man who assaults a woman and can't legally divorce her, who in the world would want their daughter in that kind of environment? The way the Jewish men in John 7 treated a woman who had an adulterous affair. They wanted to kill her because she had dared to use her sexuality the way she wanted to use it. And I would never support adultery. But most of these women were trapped in relationships with people they didn't love or didn't want. No wonder they wanted to have fun in some other way. There are other factors that contribute to negative interpretations of the Bible. Historical context. Women could not own property. Women's roles were so restricted that you were either a wife, a widow, or a whore. Many scholars argue that certain passages have been mistranslated or misunderstood. I think that's an excuse. Cultural influence. Jewish writings and early Christian writings beyond biblical canon may have influenced later negative interpretations. St. Augustine, the way he viewed women was utterly appalling. He described women as basically being the gum he would pick off his sandal. And just because the Bible has a few positive portrayals of women, and just because a few women were in charge, does not mean that that's a great way to view women, or that these women were special. These women were not the average woman. People like Deborah, Ruth, Abigail, Esther. They were not the average woman. The average woman did not own their own property, their own clothes, or have anything of their own. If you were married to someone who ruled over a region, when the man died, you became the property of the next ruler. And just because Jesus treated women better than the way other people treated them, does not make Jesus a good person. If society kicks you around, treats you like a piece of meat, and a man may offer you a drink of water, that doesn't make the person a better man. That's just the bare minimum of behavior that women should expect. People do interpret the Bible incorrectly at times. That is true. The Bible never condemned the behavior that the men at the time did. God never had any of his prophets create laws that forbid or cost men their lives if they did what the law forbid. Instead of having a law that says don't commit adultery, they could have had a law that said don't assault women, don't touch kids, don't seize women. They didn't. They should have had laws that forbid slavery, and anyone caught selling or owning slaves should have been thrown out of the country. Just because they have rules how many times you can hit your slave doesn't make them better than the country that doesn't have laws of how many times you can hit your